Go.
Hi, this is Chandra from Vacationsensei.
Hey.
We are here on another adventure. We're at Henry Cowell Redwood National State Park.
State Park.
Yeah. In California.
Okay, what exactly is a Redwood Park?
And
What is that
you know
about?
What? I'm going to have our expert here explain it. This is Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
She's here from the park, and she's going to talk about that and answer some questions for us.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this became a state park in the mid-1950s. It's preserving the redwoods, the old-growth redwoods.
What is that exactly?
Well, it means that never cut.
Okay,
It
never
was
cut.
original redwood that was never cut by the European, settlers here. And the old growth, today, there's only 3% of the entire range of redwoods that is considered old growth.
Wow.
Everything else outside of that has been cut at least once. So the range goes from Big Sur to the south to the Oregon border.
Okay, long swath then.
Of coastal redwoods, Sequoia sempervirens,
Yes.
is what they're called. And this park, it became a park, but originally it was a resort.
Okay.
It was a resort owned by the Welch family. They purchased it in 1867, decided that it would be open to the public as a picnic grounds, and they built some hotels here over the years.
What does it look like? Okay, here, look.
And we're thankful for that family, because without them, this would probably have been cut. And they owned it for 60 years as a resort, and they eventually sold it to the county of Santa Cruz to make sure it was preserved. And a couple decades later, it became a state park because of the last living descendant of Henry Cowell. Cowell was one of the richest men in the region who actually cut down more trees than anybody.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
But his last living son, Samuel, had a lot of money and property in the 1950s and decided to do some good with it. So he took 1,600 acres of his already logged land and said, I'll add it to your little park, and you turn it into a state park and name it after my father. And that's how it became Henry Cowell Redwood State Park, named after the man who cut down the redwoods.
So we understand there's a famous tree here called
The Fremont tree.
Fremont tree.
Yes.
And we're sitting right here in front of it?
We are.
Okay.
And this is John C. Fremont.
Okay.
He was one of our greatest explorers.
Okay.
And he was a U.S. Army officer who was coming here to do some map making in the 1840s, 1846. And
Show us this famous tree.
this tree's named in his honor. There's a story associated with it that he slept in this tree during his expedition.
Huh.
But when he was asked about that later in life, he said, well, that's a good story, let it stand. He probably never slept in it. But because of his association with this site, that probably brought a lot of people here to see this tree, to see where the hero had been.
Wow.
So that's probably one reason why this forest has been preserved. And this tree has this huge hollow. It was created by fire, probably in 1867. And it's so large that it was turned into a hotel room during the Victorian period. It was furnished with a bed and a wood stove. It had a much higher entrance at that time. The entrance would have been up here. So since that time, this tree is very healthy and it's been healing the fire scar.
Wow.
So eventually it's going to close up.
Wow, that's something.
It's like a bandage.
It is. It's healing itself, like a scab. It's just kind of.
And is this a old growth tree?
It is.
It is?
We
Okay.
estimate it's about 800 years old.
Okay.
But it's only one of many trees in this little family circle. They're all related. They all spring from the same root system,
Wow.
which may be tens of hundreds of thousands of years old. They don't know yet. They're still studying how old these roots can be in a redwood forest, because these trees regenerate that way. They very hardly ever come from seed. Almost every tree in this forest has come from the roots of the previous trees.
Wow.
So how old those root systems are is one of the big things they're trying to study right now.
That is amazing. Yeah. That is amazing. This is just such a beautiful place to come. I recommend that everybody make this a stop because it's so unique, and I have goosebumps standing here.
Well, it's one of the easiest and first redwood forests people would come to visit. It was the easiest one to get to in the Victorian era because the train would bring people directly here. So it was very famous. It was the place where presidents came to visit. We had President Theodore Roosevelt, President Benjamin Harrison. You had very rich industrialists like Andrew Carnegie come here to visit.
Oh, wow.
You had a lot of very important people in the late 19th century. If they wanted to see redwoods in California, this is the place they came.
This is great. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Well,
This
thanks
is a
so
great
much.
Experience.
We'll catch
Thanks,
up with you then.
everybody.
Thanks so much. You got to come visit, all right?
Come visit.
Yeah.